The S-rank boss is already inside my skull. Its claws are scraping my thoughts like knives when I rip the glowing system window out of thin air and crumple it in my fist. Everyone else got swords and spells. I got a joke skill called patch notes, and it turns out I can rewrite what the boss is allowed to be. How does a piece of fake update text become a weapon? And if the countdown hits 0:00, why does the system erase my name instead of my body? Because that's not even the part that broke the game. 0058, that number is burning in the corner of my vision in red, like a timer welded to my eyelids. The boss's mind scream shakes the air. People are running through the shattered food court with their new classes glowing over their heads. Knight, Pyromancer, Healer, each one screaming, "Use skill." Like it matters, I say mine once. Open patch notes. The system stutters. A new window slams down in front of my face. System update, pending. And for half a second, the red timer flickers. 0058 becomes 0057. Then the window bleeds static. Across the top, in letters that look like they were typed by a panicking god, system panic, unauthorized document detected. If you blink right there, you miss the first impossible thing. The boss, this towering antlered thing made of black muscle and white bone plates, the kind of creature the system labels with a single cruel letter, S, turns its head. Not toward the strongest fighter, toward me. Like it can smell the glitch. So what would you do when the monster stops hunting the crowd and starts hunting the mistake? Because 60 seconds earlier, I was just a guy with a receipt printer in his hand, laughing along with everyone else. 0057, 60 seconds earlier. The system arrived mid-shift. 1 second I was restocking bottled water at a half-dead mall convenience store, watching people on their phones complain about outages. The next second, the air turned into a glass screen. A voice with no warmth and no patience spoke inside every skull at once. Welcome, humanity. Initialization complete. Classes distributed. And the mall, this sad fluorescent box, became an arena. Blue text hovered above heads. People shrieked as symbols stamped onto their palms. A teenager near the arcade screamed with joy when Pyromancer lit up above him. A security guard got Knight and drew a sword from nothing. Someone's little sister got Healer and immediately started crying because everyone grabbed her. Then my window opened. Class, Content Moderator, and under it, in grey parentheses like the system was already embarrassed. Subclass, Patch Notes, Joke. Skill, Post-Update Summary. Rank, F. The store went quiet for one beat. Then the laughter hit. It wasn't even mean at first. It was relief laughter, the kind people do when something scary happens and they need a target. Content moderator? Someone snorted. Bro, the apocalypse gave you a desk job. A guy with a brand new spear, Lancer, leaned over my shoulder and read the fine print. Patch notes, like, the thing you skip. More laughs. Someone actually mimed scrolling past me. The system, like it wanted to make sure I understood my place, popped up another line. Notice, joke subclasses provide minimal combat utility. In the corner of my vision, another number appeared. A red timer. 01 allow. And beneath it, roll back in. 01 doao. No one else reacted. Their windows had skills. Their windows had cooldowns. Mine had a deadline. I raised my hand like a student. What's rollback? I asked. Nobody answered, because right then the skylights over the food court detonated inward. A shadow dropped through raining glass and landed with a crack that split tile. The S-rank boss stood up out of the dust like it had been waiting for the system's announcement. System alert. Boss entity manifested. Name, the White Antler Edit. Rank, S description, patched predator. The words didn't make sense. The monster did. It moved like a correction, too clean, too exact. It looked at the crowd and chose targets the way a spell checker chooses mistakes. It lunged, people screamed. The new knight raised his sword, and the boss's horn went through the blade like paper. Blood sprayed the kiosk. The timer in my vision ticked. 0059. That's when the system did the second cruel thing. It highlighted me, a little arrow on my HUD. Target of interest, and under it, admin review pending. The laughter died. The Lancer who'd mocked me backed away like mockery was contagious. "Why you?" he whispered. I didn't know, but I felt it. My class wasn't a desk job, it was a job for when things went wrong. Z058. The boss carved through the crowd in a straight line toward the central fountain where the system's biggest holographic screen had anchored itself in mid-air like an altar. People fought. They died. Their new skills sputtered against something that felt updated, like the boss had already been patched to ignore them. And the whole time, that red timer kept dropping. E057, the thing about being mocked is you either fold or you grab the joke and sharpen it. My hands were shaking so hard I almost dropped the receipt printer I'd been holding. Then my skill window blinked. Post-update summary, ready. Use condition, must witness change. Witness what change? The mall changed every second. Glass falling, people losing limbs, a knight's sword becoming useless in real time. So I did the only thing my brain could do, I narrated it. Patch notes, I whispered, and I pressed US. The air in front of me unfolded into a white box with black text, like a cheap forum post. Patch notes VO.0.1. Reduced Nightblade effectiveness against horned entities by 90%. Increased boss aggression toward anomalous rolls. Added rollback timer for unstable instances. My stomach turned. Those weren't notes. Those were confessions. The system wasn't describing the world. It was admitting it was actively changing it. And my skill was letting me see the edits. The Lancer's eyes went wide. "You can see the rules," he said. I stared at the bottom of the window, a blinking cursor. It wasn't supposed to be there, but it was. And the system, like it realized what it had accidentally handed me, flashed another warning across the top. Patch detected, locking document. The cursor vanished. I tried to touch the text. My finger went through it like smoke. So I did something stupid. I grabbed the receipt printer off the counter, yanked the roll out, and held the paper up like it was a weapon. If the system was a UI, it had to have a surface. And if my class was content moderator, I had one job. Edit 00156. The boss jumped the fountain in one motion. Its antlers sliced the air and left pale lines behind, as if it was cutting the scene itself. The knight tried to block again. His sword snapped. The crowd surged back, and the boss's eyes, too human for a monster, locked on my face. Like it had just read the label on my class. I didn't run, because if I ran, I was just another human on the menu. If I stood, maybe I was a problem. "Hey," I shouted. My voice cracked. The boss's head tilted, and my patch notes window still hovering, updated by itself. Patch notes VO.02 prioritized content moderator elimination. I felt my blood go cold, so the question wasn't whether my skill could fight. The question was whether I could use a joke window to survive an S-rank that had been coded to delete me. 055. I slapped the receipt paper against the floating patch window. It shouldn't have stuck. It did. The text bled through onto the paper like wet ink, and right as the boss lunged, horns forward, mouth open, a sound like a page tearing, my printer spat out a strip. Patch notes VO.02, hard copy. The strip was warm, not from heat, from authority. The knight stumbled near me, clutching a bleeding arm. "What are you doing?" he wheezed. I stared at the printed lines. A stupid thought surfaced. If I could print the rules, could I write on them? 054. The boss's shadow swallowed me. I lifted the paper like a ward, and I scribbled with the store's cheap marker right over the line that wanted me dead. Prioritized content moderator elimination. I crossed it out. Then, with the kind of desperation that makes idiots into legends, I wrote, prioritized S-rank self-termination upon contact with unauthorized document. The paper vibrated. My marker ink lit up. The system screamed in my skull. Admin flagged. Unauthorized edit attempt. Consequence, rollback. The timer flared. 053. And the boss hesitated. It was one heartbeat, one stutter, but its forward momentum adjusted, like its code was arguing with itself. The knight's eyes widened. "It slowed," he said. The Lancer, now pale, whispered, "That paper. Did that?" I didn't answer because my hands were burning. The receipt strip was eating heat out of my skin. and the timer kept falling. Z052, here's the pattern interrupt nobody expects in an apocalypse. The system tried to patch me in public. A new window slammed into the air above the fountain like a judge's gavel. Emergency hotfix, target, patch notes, joke, change log, removed physical output from post-update summary, disabled user annotation, reclassified skill as cosmetic only. The words shone bright like a brand. Then my skill icon, grayed out. Cooldown, permanent. The crowd exhaled, some in relief, some in satisfaction. See, someone spat, told you it was useless. The boss's hesitation ended. It lunged again, and I realized the system wasn't afraid of the S-rank. It was afraid of me writing on its paperwork. 00,051. So what would you do when the universe takes away your only tool? Because I still had one thing the hotfix didn't mention, the printed strip in my hand. It was already out, already real, already a piece of the system that had become matter. The boss hit me like a truck. Its horn caught my shoulder and threw me across tile. Pane burst white. My HUD flashed. HP 12100. The timer cruel and steady, 0050. The boss stalked forward, slow now, savoring it, and inside my skull, under the roaring fear, I heard a tiny, ridiculous sound. A receipt printer beep. My class window, grey and permanent cooldown, still had one line active. Passive, terms of service. Description, any patch must be documented. My throat went dry. Any patch must be documented, meaning the hotfix itself had to generate notes, meaning the system, by patching me, had to hand me another document. The joke wasn't that my skill was useless, the joke was that the system couldn't change anything without leaving paper trails. And I was built to chase paper. 0.49, the air rippled, another window spawned against the system's will. Patch notes, V0.0.3, hotfix applied, disabled physical output. Hotfix applied, disabled annotation, added rollback on unauthorized edits. At the bottom, the cursor blinked again. The system tried to hide it. It failed, because it had promised, deep in its own terms of service, that every change must be logged. I grinned through blood. The boss raised its claws to finish me, and I did the only thing I could. I reached up and grabbed the patch window like it was a sheet. My fingers sank into it, like wet plastic. The crowd screamed. "You can touch the UI," the knight croaked. I pulled. The window tore free with a sound like ripping fabric. System panic. Interface breach. The timer slammed down another second. EO048. The boss flinched, not from my strength, from the fact that the rules themselves had just become something you could tear. And I realized the mechanism. My skill wasn't write patch notes, it was enforce that patches exist. If the system must document every change, then the documentation was as real as the change. And if the documentation was real, it could be used as a weapon. 0047. The boss pounced. I rolled, barely. Its claws gouged 3 deep lines into the tile, and the lines stayed glowing white, like debug marks. I slammed the torn patch window onto the floor. It stuck like tape. Words ran across it, updating in real time. Patch notes, V0.4, boss entity granted rule immunity for 30 seconds. There it was. The system wasn't even pretending anymore. It was buffing the boss to ignore the exact kind of thing I was doing. And the timer? A046. Rollback wasn't killing me. Rollback was coming for my identity. Because when the timer dipped below 0.45, another line appeared under it. Rollback target, name string. I blinked. Name string, not HP, not body. The system was going to roll back, the fact that I existed. If that hit 00.0, no one would remember me. No records, no face, no me to even mourn. And the worst part, if nobody remembered, then nobody would notice the system doing it again. 0.45, the boss's antlers lowered. The crowd had scattered into stores and corridors. Only a handful remained in the open. People too injured to run, or too stubborn to accept they were background characters. The knight dragged himself beside the fountain. The lancer held his spear like it mattered. A pyromancer's hands shook, flames sputtering uselessly against the boss's bone plates. They looked at me like I was either a miracle or a mistake that got them all killed. I held up the torn patch window. "Any patch must be documented," I said, tasting blood. They stared. "Say that like it means something," the Lancer snapped. "It means the system can't hide what it's doing," I said. "And if it can't hide it, I can use it." The boss charged. 0044. I threw the patch window like a net. It snapped open midair and wrapped around one antler. The boss roared, shaking its head, and the window updated right on its horn. Patch notes V0.00.5 attempted to remove unauthorized document. In smaller text, like the system was whispering behind its own back. Failed, document is now content. My heart punched my ribs. Content. If the document became content, then my class, content moderator, had jurisdiction. I didn't need permission to edit. I needed moderation rights, and moderation rights came with one word that had ruined a million internet arguments. Ban 00.43. My HUD flashed a new option under terms of service. Modi actions unlocked. Warn remove. Ban. The crowd didn't see it, but the boss did. It stumbled, like it had felt a collar snap around its throat. The system blared. Admin flagged. Moderator privileges exceed instance. The timer burned. 0042. So what would you ban if you could ban a monster? Its claws, its horns, its S-rank label. I looked at the boss's name floating above its head. The white antler edit. The name itself was wrong. An edit. A patch. A thing the system had added, meaning it was, by definition, removable. The boss lunged. I didn't dodge. I stepped in, and I slapped my palm against its chest. "Ban," I said, and then I chose the smallest target. Not the monster, the word. I banned the edit, Zhu041. The air went silent, not quiet. Silent, like the audio track had been muted. The boss froze mid-lunge. Its antlers flickered, its bone plates jittered, and the system UI above it glitched, letters sliding like wet paint. The white antler. The last word peeled off. Edit removed. The boss sagged. For the first time, it looked unfinished, like half its stats had been coming from that one appended word. The system screamed, system panic, entity integrity compromised, 0040. The crowd stared. The pyromancer whispered, "You just took something off its name." "Names are rules," I said, and then the boss's eyes refocused, not confused, angry. Because even unfinished, it was still S-rank. And now it knew exactly what I was. A moderator. A threat. 0039. The system hit back hard. A massive banner rolled across the sky of the mall, big enough that even people hiding behind storefront gates could see it. Admin override. Reclassifying content moderator as spam. My class title above my head flickered. Content moderator. Spam. Content moderator. Spam. My stomach dropped. If it labeled me spam, it could delete me without rollback. And the timer wasn't slowing. 0038. The boss moved again, faster. It had lost the clean, updated precision. Now it fought like a wounded animal. It slammed the knight aside with a horn. The Lancer stabbed, his spear finally pierced just a little into a gap where the edit used to reinforce the armor. Blood, too white, like printer paper soaked in milk, spilled out. The boss roared, and the system updated the patch window on its own, spiteful. Patch notes V0.0.6 added spam filter protocol. All spam content subject to auto-removal. Auto-removal in 0030, a second timer appeared. Shorter, meaner. The crowd didn't need my explanation to understand that. 30 seconds until I got erased. EU037. I backed toward the fountain, toward the huge anchor screen where the system's main UI floated like a stained glass god. If the system was going to treat me like spam, then I needed to do what every spammer dreams of. I needed to flood the filter. I needed to post so much content, the system couldn't delete it fast enough. But my skill was locked. No physical output, no annotation. So I looked down at my hands, still holding that first printed strip. And I realized I didn't need the printer anymore. I needed the oldest moderation tool in existence. Copy. Paste, 0036. I grabbed the printed patch strip, clenched it, and tore it in half. The paper didn't rip like paper, it ripped like UI. Each half became a new strip with the same text. The crowd gasped, the system flared, patch detected, duplication not permitted. But it was too late. I tore again. And again, 4 strips, 8, 16, each one a physical instance of the system's confession, and each one, by the system's own terms, counted as content. 0.35, auto removal, in 0.28. The boss charged through the strips, and the paper stuck to its horns and claws like cursed tape. Every time it brushed a strip, new patch text spawned. Patch notes 0.0.7, increased boss hostility, increased spam removal speed. The system was trying to outpace me, so I did something worse. I slapped strips onto the big anchor screen itself. The systems alter, the UI shuddered, system panic, interface contamination. 0034. The moment my paper touched that central screen, my HUD exploded with options. Not skills. Permissions. Moderator panel. Limited access. Thread. Mall instance. DAOZO 4. User. System. User. Admin. User. Boss entity. And right beside it, like a joke that suddenly wasn't funny, report button. If I could report the system, then the system was subject to its own rules. Z0.33, the boss slammed into me. Its claws tore my shirt, raked my ribs. HP, 3/100, my vision tunneled. Auto removal in 0.26, the knight grabbed my collar and dragged me back. Tell me what to do, he shouted. The lancer was bleeding from a gash on his forehead. We can't kill it, he yelled. I coughed. We don't kill it, I said. We moderate it. 0032. The pyromancer stared at the strips stuck to the boss. They're slowing it, he said. They're forcing it to follow the patch log, I rasped. Every time it moves, it has to be documented. The pyromancer's eyes widened. Then make it move, he said. The boss roared and lunged again. The pyromancer threw a flame burst, not to damage, but to force a dodge. The boss twisted. Patch notes spawned. Boss performed evasive maneuver. Another strip appeared. Then another. The boss was leaving a trail of documentation like footprints. 0.31, auto removal in. 0.24, the system's spam filter started. A grey haze drifted across my vision like an eraser coming down. The edges of my HUD blurred. Even my hands looked less defined. My name above my head flickered. It wasn't my real name. It was the name the system had assigned to the player. And it was fading. That was the master loop. Why did rollback erase my name? Because the system didn't need to kill bodies. It needed to delete labels. If it deleted your label, you became unregistered, unseen, disposable. 00030. The system attempted the final patch. A new banner slammed down. Admin patch notes 0.008, final. Converted content moderator to spam, permanent. Scheduled auto removal, locked moderator panel. The moderator panel in my HUD dimmed. A padlock icon appeared, and then, like a guillotine, one last line, rollback target, name string. My heartbeat felt like it was hitting glass. So what would you do with 24 seconds until you stop being a person? 0.29. I looked at the boss. It was still thrashing, strips stuck to it, every movement spawning another log. It was drowning in its own documentation. And I looked at the system's anchor screen. It was covered in my duplicated strips like a nest of white tape. The system was choking on paperwork. Then I saw the one thing I needed. On the moderator panel, even with the lock, one button still pulsed. Emergency action. Pin thread. Pin thread. Make something stick at the top. Make it unremovable. Make it the new rule. 0028. I laughed, a wet, broken sound. The lancer stared at me like I'd snapped. What? He demanded. I can't fight an S-rank, I said, so I'm going to do the only thing my class was made for. The boss charged. I stood between it and the anchor screen, and I reached into the air like I was grabbing a curtain. I pulled the moderator panel out of my HUD. It came with resistance. The system screamed, interface breach. But it came. 0.27. The boss's claws hit my chest. For a second, I felt my ribs give. Then the claws stopped. Not because the boss chose to, because the moderator panel snapped open like a steel door, and the boss's claws were stuck in it, like a fly caught in a browser tab. The panel updated. User, boss entity, flagged. The boss tried to pull back. It couldn't, because its movement spawned another strip, and the strip stuck, and the documentation chained it. 0.26, auto removal in 0.19. My vision was fading at the edges. The system's grey eraser was eating my outline, but I didn't need to see everything. I needed to click one thing. Pin thread. A blank text box appeared. Title required. I had to name the rule, and that's when the mechanism clicked fully into place. Rollback erases name strings, because names are anchors. If I could anchor a thread, I could anchor myself. I could overwrite the system's attempt to delete my label. By giving it a label, it couldn't remove. 00 to 25, I typed, no keyboard, just will, into the title field. Patch notes must apply to admin. The system froze. Even the boss stopped thrashing, like the whole instance had inhaled. Then a red stamp slammed onto the thread. Pinned, system panic, admin subject to patch log, 0.24. The mall lights flickered. The air tasted like ozone and printer ink. And for the first time, the system felt vulnerable. The boss jerked as if someone had yanked its leash. New text erupted over its head. Rank S status, pending review. My moderator panel, still impaled by its claws, offered a new option. Remove content, S-rank. Warning, removal may cause instance instability. My lips split in a grin. Instance instability. That was rollback. So this was it. The climax I'd opened on. The part where a joke skill rewrites an S-rank. 023. The knight, half-conscious, stared at the pinned thread floating above the fountain. You just pinned a law, he breathed. The pyromancer whispered, can you remove it? I looked at the boss's eyes. It looked scared for the first time. Not of dying, of being moderated. So what would you remove from an S rank if the system itself had to obey the changelog? 22, I pressed remove. The system tried to stop me. A warning banner slammed down, admin patch attempt, cancel removal. It blinked. Then, because of the pinned rule, because any patch must be documented, another window spawned on top of it. Patch notes v0.0.9. Admin attempted to cancel removal, and beneath it, failed. Admin action must be moderated. The system had just reported itself. 0021. The boss's body started to unravel. Not like flesh burning, like text being deleted. Its antlers broke into floating letters. Its bone plates turned into white rectangles. Its claws became bracket symbols that snapped apart. And the sound, God, the sound was the same as ripping a UI window, but louder, like the sky tearing. System panic. Entity. White antler removal in progress. 0020. The boss screamed. But it wasn't a roar. It was a corrupted audio file. It tried to lunge one last time, but every movement generated more documentation, which generated more moderator jurisdiction, which generated more removal. It was trapped in an infinite loop of, this action has been logged, and logging was my weapon. 019, auto removal in 012. The grey haze eating my outline hesitated. Because the pinned rule, patch notes must apply to admin, was forcing the system to document its own deletion of me. And if it documented it, it became content. And content could be moderated. The eraser stalled, the timer still ticked, but now it was arguable. 018. The boss collapsed into a pile of glowing scraps. Not gore. Paperwork. 1,000 floating rectangles of UI text fluttered down like snow. And in the center of the pile, one final label hung in the air. Rank S. I reached out and pinched it between my fingers. It felt like a hard plastic card. The system screamed again. Do not remove rank tag, property of system. My moderator panel offered a third action. Ban user. Warning, permanent. I didn't ban the boss. I banned the S00017. The letter S blinked, then shattered. The entire mall shuddered. All the other rank labels over surviving humans flickered. EDCBA. They trembled, like they were suddenly aware they were only letters. The system's voice faltered for the first time. Ranking, unstable. 0-16, the boss's remaining body, now just white antler without its edit, without its rank, lost cohesion. It folded into itself. Then, with a final glitching scream, it was gone. No loot chest, no victory fanfare, just absence. A missing line in reality. The crowd stared at the empty space like it was a hole in the world. And my red rollback timer, still in the corner, hit 00.15. 0015. Here's what the system didn't expect. When it tried to erase my name was already pinned. The pinned thread above the fountain pulsed. Patch notes must apply to admin. And beneath it, a new line appeared on its own. Rolled back deletion of content moderator. The system had just been forced to undo its own execution. My outline snapped back into focus. The grey haze retreated. Auto-removal timer blinked, then vanished. The crowd exploded into noise. EU 0.14. But I wasn't celebrating because the master question was still hanging. Why did rollback target my name? Now I knew. Rollback wasn't a safety feature. It was a cover-up. The system didn't reset broken instances.